the badges of honor. IG, they didn't have him the first game, so IG honoring him after that game. So that's cool.
Good
that
guys.
Is cool.
Good guys in Victus Gaming. That's good. Good on them. Good on them.
But we'll see what they're going to do in this game. Evelyn being banned out once again, Jace being banned out, but there's the Karthus and the Skarner as well. That's actually, Skarner was a serious impact in that last game. Even with the Shen, I think they can deal with the Shen potentially. The split push wasn't that big of a concern, but Karthus in the mid lane, the ultimates, and then having that mobility on Skarner were absolutely brutal. And so they ban out both of those. Ezreal banned, but Shen is available. I'm sure IG will be happy to take Shen or Syndra. They could take Syndra, but it seems they've locked in on Shen. That's a shame, because I hear Syndra's pretty overpowered, and I think CLG.Black would have been a little bit concerned by that pickup.
But if you want to talk balls, though, Orianna has been left open.
That's true.
So that could actually be another huge pickup here for CLG.Black. Maokai has also been left back open. So they could go with either, they could go with both. We'll have to see what they do.
Yeah, no, it would be interesting to see. And Link, he could play that Orianna pick. We've seen him play it in the past. That would be a very strong pick. But then also that could be Orianna into like a Lee Sin, and that kind of mobility, that shield team with all that mobility and poke is very strong. We've seen it in the past, but we'll see. It'll be interesting to see what CLG.Black's going to do now. There's the Orianna.
There is the Ori. Hopefully picked up here, and there's the Maokai.
Oh,
they managed to get
Maokai
both
not
of them.
banned.
They managed to get both of them. So that's going to be Maokai in jungle, Ori in mid. It is a little bit of a danger to pick your AP mid so far up in front of the picking order. But Orianna is just such a great all-around champ. It's not too much of a risk.
Yeah, and particularly since it wouldn't be that surprising if IG went with Swain right now. They have a couple of options.
They've done it before.
Swain with the Shen is actually a really strong combo. And so Orianna, considering that they already have Shen, they need a high damage mid laner. And Orianna is such a strong mid laner that Link can be confident that he's going to go into this lane with, a nice situation at the very least. So at least he won't be that far behind. At best, he can bully around Z-Tai in the mid lane. That would be ideal. But Z-Tai has been very strong in the past, so it'll be tough to see. They go with the Alistar. They go with the Shyvana as well. We've seen Shyvana a number of times from Illusion. It works very well for him, and Shyvana is significantly, just drastically miles tankier or ahead and tankier than Nocturne is early on in the game. So that's going to be a huge change.
Last second switch actually going to be going with that Sona.
Yeah, I really like that Sona as opposed to Alistar. Alistar is actually unusual as a support. It's been such a long time since we've seen Alistar as a support. Yeah. He would give them some initiation, but other than that, it's really not the strongest pick. So the Sona is a much more conventional pick and will be very strong.
Yep. So I would hope to see the Swain, though, coming from IG. I remember they played it, I think, at least once in group stage. During
they played it also in the championships.
They did
in playoffs.
They did also play it in playoffs, and on our stream at the very least. The last time they played it was also up against Mono.Ferus, going up against no, it wasn't. Is a Katarina actually. I look at Morgana's like, oh wait, no, Mono.Ferus. They do that Morgana support thing. I forgot.
Part of the benefit there versus Katarina is that Swain can bully around Kat in lane.
Oh yeah.
Katarina's not the strongest laner in the game. Swain has really nice harass, but then also in team fights, Swain gets to, sit right next to Katarina and, kind of beat her with the AoE battle. But actually, Katarina's life reduction does work versus Swain decently. I think they kind of picked Katarina because they were picking up a lot of lifesteal champions. I don't remember how the picking order worked.
Yeah.
But
hey, you mentioned, though, we haven't seen Alistar support very much.
Yeah, no, we haven't.
We're gonna now, though.
Yeah, they're going for it. It's an aggressive support. It's been a long time. Honestly, half of it is because Alistar used to be banned all the time. The other half is that Alistar was just such a strong jungler. He was one of the strongest junglers in the game. TPA in particular, Little Balls in the jungle, he played Alistar every single game he could, basically, and it was unstoppable.
I remember.
Like I don't ever remember seeing Little Balls lose when he was playing Alistar. And so usually you see it as a jungle pick, but it does signify a really aggressive bot lane, and it also gives them initiation. They want to have that aggressive initiation with the Orianna, just, quickly win a fight, Alistar into an Orianna ultimate, maybe even follow it up with a Malphite as well. They could do all three of those.
Well, actually, every champ that's so far been picked on CLG.Black is a great target for the Orianna orb to follow up into the ult.
Yeah.
If Corki Valkyrie on into the middle of the team fight,
see it.
Don't ever
go for it.
It's not something you usually want to do. I'm not saying do it every time. That stuff's gonna get you killed. But if need be, you could. But Graves and Ahri will be the last two picked up here for Invictus Gaming.
Yeah, those are very strong picks. We actually haven't seen Z-Type play Graves, but you know, honestly, I'm not surprised. We've seen him play almost everything.
Yeah.
You know, that's he just kind of plays whatever he feels like, whatever he thinks works in the matchup. And Ari is a very strong AP mid champion. They go with the Graves as well, so that's going to be very strong. But as a result, let's see, they do need a top laner, and Vladimir is open. They could consider the Vladimir. That would work very well with the AoE. But Singed, wow, Cruiser. He's, you know, you were talking about the Orianna, but you know, Cruiser has some balls.
He does. There is just a lot of sack here in this game. Period. At Malphite, that'd be great too.
Yeah,
Any
I kind of expected the Malphite. I was, you know, talking about the Malphite with the Alistar, that double combo, but then having the Orianna as well. Makes a little bit more sense. So, you know, the concern is that they have enough damage. They have the AoE, they have the initiation. The concern is making sure they have enough to follow up and, you know, win the fight, particularly because Ari, she has the mobility to get out of those ultimates. She has the mobility to survive through those team fights and turn it around.
But, you know, whenever there is an Orianna pick, though, like even from, you know, the get-go, Orianna makes sense in a protection comp. So, but that is the key, though. You have Ari, you have someone who can clear a lot of distance. Shyvana can dive back into with a Shen. If Corki goes down, it's pretty much a done deal. That's it.
Yeah, no, that will be brutal. They really need Corki's damage, but Corki's very survivable. And actually, Invictus Gaming, they don't have the best means of engaging on Corki. Ari, yes, can get in the back line, but that'd be kind of dangerous. And Corki should be safe against Ari. So really, Corki should be pretty safe in these fights. Zuna shouldn't have that much difficulty at all. And then he's going to have enough forward damage to be able to, you know, bully people around and try and win those exchanges. So I don't know. We'll kind of see how that kind of factors in. Bot lane, you know, it is going to be kind of a concern. Sona versus Alistar, the harass from Sona. But Graves is in a dangerous spot. Yeah. If he gets caught out, he's going to go down pretty quickly. Same thing with Sona. If Sona gets caught out, Sona's going to go down pretty quickly. So,
dude, this is kind of like deja vu. Like, you know, it's like, hey, if Bane goes down, it's pretty much a fight. If Graves goes down, it's pretty much a fight.
Right,
This is very, you know, this is actually kind of like similar, but there's going to be a lot more.
And that's always the case for every AD.
Yeah, it is. But you know, but there's going to be significantly more explosions and rockmen crashing into things and headbutts and pulverizes and lots of AoE. Could be very satisfying to see all those chained together. Hopefully we'll get to see that. But back here in the Champs League, these are not going to be the same bands. You know, if you're just joining us here, Karthus, Skarner, Blitzcrank, Evelyn, Jason, Ezreal are the original bands. But we're going to see both IG and CLG.Black get here into the game a little bit shortly. And also, if any of you are asking yourselves, Invictus Gaming, they're a Chinese team. Why are they playing in the NA qualifier? Well, we did allow it. We let them know, it's like, hey, you know, if you want to play in the NA qualifier, you're going to be at a ping disadvantage. Just want you to know that. And it didn't really do a whole lot to dissuade them here from qualifier number 3. They did make it to the finals against Meat Playground, but Meat Playground did end up winning here. But qualifier 4 was last chance. They decided to try their luck once again.
And honestly, I wouldn't have been that surprised that they had lost to Meat Playground, because it is, you know, that NA disadvantage, that's hard to deal with. And IG at the time, you know, we knew they were pretty strong, but we weren't quite sure how strong.
Yeah.
The big surprise was they lost to Meat Playground after beating CLG and Mono.Ferus.
Yes.
And both of those teams were pulling out really exciting new strategies that we, you know, weren't necessarily expecting. So, I don't know, that's kind of an interesting thing. But I don't know, we'll see what happens in this game. Maokai in the mid lane with the Orianna can be very aggressive against Ari. Ari should be pretty safe, but if they can bully around Ari before Ari hits 6, that could maybe give them the early advantage they need.
Yep. But also keep in mind, though, that in terms of the battle of the junglers, Maokai, I mean, he is not as fast as Shyvana. I mean, Shyvana can clear pretty damn quick. And Maokai, if he doesn't get the right start, if he doesn't get his blue, things can go pretty sour pretty quick for Psycho Sid.
Yeah, no, that is always going to be a concern for Maokai. I honestly, the thing that I'm kind of curious about is how CLG.Black is going to deal with IG's early aggression. And having the Shen for those tower dives, that's going to be brutal. Shen and then the armor on Shyvana. She gets a lot of armor and MR on her ultimate. It's just going to enable them to, you know, make the aggressive plays that they want. Ari can roam out of that mid lane. Bot lane in particular is going to be a very scary lane for Corki.
Yeah. I mean, Alistar at the very least, I mean, he does have that CC. He can try and, you know, deflect some of the aggression. Malphite, though, like, I feel like he's pretty much screwed in that situation. Plus, also, the Rod Purple side here, there's a lot more points of entry then Shen can actually, that Shen and Shyvana can actually pinch from. That can be huge. Orianna's, and that's the thing, you have Link. Go actually double cleanse here on the CLG.Black. They recognize how brutal, how brutal of a CC, how brutal CC can actually tear them apart in these fights and in the laning phase.
Well, and that double cleanse is really going to help them because it's against a double exhaust. And you kind of expect Shyvana to go with the exhaust, but the exhaust from Sona as well with the taunt from Shen and then also the RA charm. They need those cleanses. If they don't have them, they're going to go down. And it reduces their damage a little bit, but cleanse is strong enough that that damage reduction, the fact that you're actually cleansing through their damage and the cleansing the ignite also, it evens it out. So, it's a little bit slower to pick up some kills. They won't be able to burst people down as effectively, but that's definitely a good decision on their part. So I definitely really like that call, but it's still going to be scary with IG's roaming potential. Shyvana is one of the most mobile junglers in the game. Ahri's very mobile out of the mid lane, and they have Shen with a follow-up.
Let's take a look at Link's runes, actually, because I want to see if he's going that experience thing again. Nope, going to be going back to a standard page, AP, Magic Pen, the usual stuff, 2190. How does
he label his runes, by the way? Is this like code? Nope, that one's code. Okay.
Derp.
So one of those things are code. I was kind of wondering. I was imagining like all of his rune pages were like given serial numbers.
Yeah, or just like IP addresses. Don't no, that'd be bad.
Oh, right. Well, that's actually true
hopefully
too.
that's not your IP address. That'd be very unfortunate if it was. Don't blame us if you get hit with the cannon. Let's take a look at Z-Tai here. Standard stuff there too. You going for the mana regen there in the mid. Keep on throwing them orbs. 21, 0, and 9. Nothing too unusual there. Who else are we going to take a look at? Let's take a look at...
Cruiser.
We can take a look at Cruiser. And you can take a look at Bloodwater, too, for since it's been so long since we've seen an Alistar support 0, 21, 9. Nothing too crazy there. Bloodwater, Decal, Cow support, move speed, GP10s. You always want that move speed. You always want that move speed on Alistar if you're running support. You need to be in position to get those pulverizes. 115, 14.
But GP10 yellows instead of armor yellows. So that leaves him a little bit behind on yellows, on armor. Yeah. He does have the armor reds, so that kind of makes up for it. But I don't know, he could be kind of vulnerable to some of that harass damage. That's already kind of the concern of that lane. But that movement speed, it will allow that fast initiation that he's looking for.
And let's see, we got time for one more real quick. Let's go for the Shen. Let's see what we got here coming in from PD. Magic resist armor, getting
Magic
tanky.
Pen.
Magic Pen and armor pen. Interesting.
And that actually works very well against Malphite. That's Malphite, he's already going to be getting a lot of armor. Shen's Vorpal Blade, it's magic damage, so why not get some Magic Pen? So you don't have to kind of worry about it. And that Shen versus Malphite is a pretty even lane. A lot of times Shen can actually win that lane. As it progresses, Shen just becomes so tanky, he's able to bully around Malphite. But early on, Shen has a slight advantage, but Malphite's usually tanky enough that it's not that big of a concern.
As I think I saw a quick look on their ranked page, and it was like, is eHome? I think is IG borrowing eHome's accounts for this one? Because it's not too uncommon if you're going cross server to borrow an account just to have the champ pool and all the runes and all that stuff. And I was like, I'm trying to think, maybe if they also got some extra coaching from eHome before they went to Worlds or before they went into this too. See if there's any partnerships among teams there.
Yeah, no, that's kind of interesting. That would be that surprising, but I don't know. We'll check out what these guys are doing. It'd be funny if they were using World Elite accounts too. If it was World Elite and eHome, those weren't World Elite accounts. But
Dream Team.
Yeah,
Dream Team.
They just all kind of mix and match, for pride.
It'd be like Vegas all over again. It's just you got the pro team versus versus the riders, which is still a fantastic.
What are you saying about CLG.Black? The pro team versus the non-pro team, and we're saying CLG.Black is which of those teams?
Well, to be fair though, it's CLG.Black. I mean, they've been touted as the B team for a very long time. But imagine what it would be if CLG.Black gets this last qualifying spot and Prime doesn't. That's bragging rights for like the next few months until the leagues until season 3 starts, and then they realize
particularly
we don't
since
have...
CLG.EU is one of the best teams in the world.
Oh man, they
and
both
CLG.NA.
Oh, but yeah, if CLG.EU and Black to both go to IPL5 and Prime is not there, that would be even funnier.
Yeah, that would be an interesting situation. It would be kind of brutal for Hoodstomp just after he retires if they were to beat IG here, and then if they could continue with the qualifiers. But right off the bat, CLG.Black walking up in the top lane, Illusion is spotted off, so he's going to be safe there. But a lot of times they expect IG to be really aggressive with their invades, and that's what we've seen from IG almost every single game we've ever seen from them. They go for some of the most insane level 1s in the game. So CLG.Black, they're proactive about it. They want to make sure they get off into position so that they can defend against it.
Let's see here, and we also got right there. You got Graves camping out that bot Tribrush too, just getting the point defense on, just nothing too crazy.
Yeah, so we'll see how they're going to go for any invade here. It looks like they might actually set themselves up nicely, though I would kind of expect them to just sit for Maokai. But if they go for the invade and steal the blue, that could work out for them. So we'll see where they're going here. It seems like they're going to back off, so they should be pretty safe to go for their own blue. There's not a really strong level 1 presence from IG. And we'll kind of see what Illusion is trying to do, where he'll kind of pursue some early aggression.
You got up on the tri-ram too, just looking to keep out the wraiths, but yeah, there's nothing too crazy to start. Psycho said doing the safe start first. Gonna be going for those wolves. You see a lot of Maokai start.
Oh, they're going for an invade.
Oh, a little bit of a delay. Do they see them on the ward?
Yeah, the ward sees them.
Yes, they do. You got pings to retreat going down into the river.
But they have 2 top. They swapped their top in their bot lane. They can't defend this. Maokai is going blueless for the time being.
And you see right now, is he going to go? No, he's not going to go straight on in for the enemy blue. He's just going to let them take it. See, and you have 2 members up top. You could easily go in for this blue invade with your AD and your support up top, but it looks like Psycho Sid is just going to be content grabbing his red.
And Illusion actually held on to the smite as well, so they gave him enough of a pull there. So that's actually going to be an interesting situation because Illusion, he can really quickly jungle, get off to a nice early advantage, and there's not really that big threat of a steal from Maokai. But Maokai, he did start off at the red. He is getting help from Alistar here, but Psycho Sid already kind of low, and he started off with the E, so he's going to have that sapling, but it's not going to really be that conducive to an early gank.
Yeah, but they are going to now travel on down. Alistar staying with them. You also got Link going to be helping out too, and this is okay for an Alistar. Alistar, he doesn't need a whole lot in terms of items, so he's okay, to be down on levels just a little bit early, but in order to try and just, surge your jungler a little bit ahead, this is also giving Zuna a little bit more experience time to himself here in the top lane. So at the very least, you're going to have a little bit better gain on CLG's AD than you would IG's, but now that you have the blue, Psycho City's a little more comfortable. He's got his double buff. They're playing the patient game.
Oh my god, they're going for another level 3 tower dive.
Man, this could be bad. And you see, though, like, Cruiser's suspicious. He knows something's up. He knows, like, he's paranoid. This is where, this is where the fear comes in. But he's right to be having this fear because he doesn't know how close Illusion is right now.
This is particularly dangerous, though. They're going to be able to push up. They have a lot of damage, but it's against the armor on Malphite. It's against the slow from his E, which is really going to reduce a lot of their damage. And then the shield. This is going to be really tough for them to pick up.
Maokai is so close, too, and they actually see him. There is a slow. Go down to Illusion. You do have these upcoming Flash. Flash going out through the bush, and here comes the Maokai. The dive will be repelled. However, Malphite may be a little bit low. He may have taken quite a bit of damage. He may not have to back off this one, but at the very least, that has prevented a kill.
Yeah, and Shen, he seems to be pretty okay in the top lane. He's going to be able to range farm a little bit. Malphite's actually really strong in the 1v2. He has the AoE clear, but he's actually in a dangerous spot once again because Shyvana's coming in for a second attack run.
But you do have Psycho Sid here. It's a 2v3. It's a significantly better situation.
Oh, Ari's here too.
Oh, here comes Ari, though. Now things have just gotten from bad to worse, and now you do see the instinct coming on in. It's time to fall on back to the tier 2, but with no...
They're just going to drop this turret.
They are going to drop the turret, but here's the thing, though. With Ari actually leaving lane, this does give Link a little bit of time to farm, and if you're an AP mid, when you leave, or well, if you're a mid player, let's be fair, if you're a mid player and you leave, you need that kill to try and recoup for some of the experience and time lost there in the mid. Otherwise, those creep waves are just going to get denied by the tower. So granted, the tower is going down here, is a little bit of an experience gain, but you'll notice that it's not as much of a lead in terms of gold as most tower downs would because you had so many members away farming.
Yeah, no, that is kind of a concern for that Ahri versus Orianna matchup, but we'll kind of see how that's going to work out. And already Shen's at a nice little advantage. Their whole team, they have a nice little goal advantage. Like you said, it's not as significant as they could maybe hope for. But I honestly, I don't know the last time I've seen a 5-minute bot turret. Usually, you kind of want to leave the bot turret up a little bit longer. But that aggressive pushing style, could allow them to snowball this game early on, which is always what they're looking to do.
But we did see the 5-minute top tower though. But yeah, so what is the difference though between taking the top and bottom though?
Top is a little bit more common. When you do those lane swaps, you go for the aggressive push, and the reason is top is already on an island. You're not that concerned about your top lane being pushed, but when the bot lane pushes, it means that you're not as safe as the AD carry. You're not going to be able to farm as much as you would like.
Psycho Sid though, looking to give IG a little bit of unmasked. And where is the CC going for the slam? A little bit of miscommunication, but there's
Psycho's
a twisted advance.
down.
Psycho, he does flash either, is still ignited. Can you get the kill onto Shen? The shield is still up. Will he actually go down
he's
here?
so
No!
close.
But Psycho Sid seeing
Ahri's
all the
coming up.
minions coming on through, he will be able to walk out, but here comes Ahri. This could be an easy double or even triple.
And
coming
Ahri
up. They're
is
all
6.
below 100, and Ahri is 6. Where's the dash? Don't recall in the bush. No, don't.
Is he going to get it?
Do it. Don't do it.
Oh, he's not going to check any of them. He saw Psycho Sid. Sid is going down.
This is bad.
Sid's going down, but Corki's alive. So that's not that bad of a situation. It's only first blood, but that's insane.
Man.
PDD, he held off in the 3v1, almost picked up 3 kills on his own.
Wow.
That was a nice effort there.
Wow.
And now we'll see whether they swap. No, they're sending their AD and support. They're sending Corki and Alistar back up in that top lane. So PDD holding off the 3v1. That's absurd.
But that's the thing, though. That's something Shen can do in this kind of lane swap situation. That's not... You won't see many Malphites be able to do that.
Malphite, he has enough armor that he can usually, but it's... Shen, they weren't tanking the turrets properly.
Yeah.
Corki started off. Corki was tanking the turrets, so they had to back off because they're like, oh, dang, Corki's going to die. Then all of a sudden, Maokai almost died. He had to flash out because he was about to die. Then Corki was tanking it again. And so it was just kind of miscommunication. They didn't have the right members tanking. And Shyvana's setting up. Illusion wants this again, but they have Maokai on the side. They do ping him off because they did actually just barely see him, drop that sapling. He tossed a sapling over.
Cruiser did ding 5, and a little bit of experience will be 6, but Psycho Sid does get caught, does find the Ahri in the bush. The charm will keep him behind. There we go down here. There is the ult looking for all of that chunk. The ignite will be more than enough. Ahri getting that kill onto the Maokai, taking back what I guess you could say Shen stole from her before in the top, but that is still 2 kills onto Psycho Sid. Maokai, he's not having the greatest time in the world right now. He's kind of looking how Nocturne did on IG during the last game, just not being too much of a help, unfortunately.
Yeah, and this is interesting right now because IG, they're looking for this aggressive push in the bottom lane. A lot of times you can fall behind if you take that bot turret. It puts you in a dangerous situation, but they don't care. They're pushing up to the second turret. Shen's in a dangerous spot. He's going to go down, but they should be able to grab that dragon as a result. So it's an even exchange for them. They might actually lose the top lane as well, but it's still a gold advantage. They pick up the dragon, and they're continuing to push. They're pushing the second turret, and that's actually negating the fact that Graves isn't going to fall behind because of that aggressive push. And if they get that second turret, then that's going to be just such a massive advantage for them when they're looking for these aggressive pushes.
Yeah, man, tower for a dragon is not too uncommon of a trade there, but yeah, that kill does do a little something, and we do have the pause coming on here, so we will see what goes on, and hopefully be back into this shortly. But yeah, Psycho Sid, not having the best time in the world, unfortunately, but let's go back for a second and see.
The nice thing about that pause is I get to take a look at this gank up top once again.
Oh, we do. We do get
where
the look.
Shen was able to pick that up. There it is. So Shen, one more back. Really impressive. Right off the bat, Zuna, he was tanking the turret. Then Psycho Sid, and he twisted advance because he didn't even realize he was tanking the turret. So he almost goes down. And now because Maokai had to get out of there, Zuna is tanking the turret. So that's almost comical, seeing them all go back.
Man.
Bloodwater almost going down as well. I'm honestly surprised that PDD almost didn't pick up those kills, but really impressive play on his part. And then they're so lucky that Ahri wasn't able to pick that up. It is live again, so we'll go back as these two teams are able to, you know, hopefully get everything sorted. But the dragon goes down, the top lane goes down as well, and it seems Bloodwater is actually the one having issues, but they're live again, so he has reconnected presumably, and we'll be able to see how these guys are, you know, pursuing, how IG is going to try and press their advantage, and how CLG will respond.
Yep, and so that tier 1 in top has gone down. We're going to mitigate a little bit of the gold. It's still a 1K deficit here for CLG.Black, but then again, remember game number 1, they never actually really got that, you know, any further back than that. So there's still plenty of room to maneuver, plenty of room to navigate and try and take the game back from there. You also look at the items. You see Orianna is actually going for the early rod. You've seen a lot of Orianna's actually going for that Athenes, but you want to see a little bit of tank there who's getting low. You got Sona going very low. There in the bot lane, you actually got caught out.
Yeah, dropping the ward, and that's always a dangerous situation. Yeah. A lot of times you want to be aggressive. They're trying to push this, but because it was actually during a lane swap from Corki and Alistar, you know, he was just in a dangerous situation.
Zuna grabbing that kill. The rest of his team allowed him to just grab that. It was like, you know,
Graves!
Oh, Graves actually getting caught down there in the bot lane, too. And now the tier 1 and bot's going to be going down. Now you got Shyvana looking to fend off this 3v1 situation. But you do have Shen. He does have his ultimate up. He can join in on this fight if things are a little bit too hairy. But I think the damage is actually going to be a little bit too much. But they don't be taking those towers. We saw what happened last time with you guys trying to take towers, trying to kill someone. But it should be fine, though.
They're really just looking to push here, and they should be able to take it with Shyvana with the ult.
Shen coming on in on top of the dragon, going in for the taunt with the ignite down on the Malphite. Should be able to grab that one. You got the cleanse coming in from Corki, still being chased. That dragon breath a little bit too much, forcing the flash up. But here comes RI. 1, 2, 3 with the dashes, but had the flash to try and kill that one. But you do have the charm, keeps the Malphite back a little bit, and Alistar diving back on into the fight. That was 3 kills and no tower.
Yeah, nice transition down and using the Shen ultimate to turn that around. So that's going to be brutal. Having, you know, the Corki should be generally pretty safe, but the Shyvana ult into the Shen taunt, you know, that's what they need the cleanse for on Corki. That's really, you know, a disgusting combo. But I'm shocked that Graves stuck around. That kid was like, oh, you know, Sona just died in the river. To a 3-man, or, you know, 4 people in the river. Well, I'll just kind of hang out here for a second. And now he's actually getting caught once again from Psycho Sid. If he gets the knockback, he's in a dangerous spot. Malphite is here. The Sona ultimate trying to turn around. Malphite doesn't have his ultimate yet, and Kid, can he pick up the kill? Psycho Sid just barely getting out of there. Cruiser should be able to grab this, but the exhaust from Sona is doing everything he can to try and keep him alive.
Cruiser's looking for that slow again, but here comes Shyvana, though. There is the ult. Can he get the kill? Yes, he does. But Corki, not too far behind, looking to clean up, plays the interference. There's the cover fire you needed, but I think Illusion has actually gotten a little bit too far back. Does get to the safety of his own tower. Nice revenge kill for CLG.Black on that one. I think the damage is enough. The Shen ultimate is actually still down. There's a Valkyrie in, going for the charge. He wants the dragon kill. Rocket, no, just misses that last one. Does not get the kill, but it does force Shyvana back. They will now finally be able to take up this tower.
Yeah, it is going to drop down, so it's even once again in turrets until now. In CLG.Black, actually, they are ahead slightly in turrets. That helps them bring them back into this game. But I don't know, it's going to be kind of interesting to see what IG's doing, because IG, they're just pressuring all over the map. They're running back and forth as a team. Ari in particular, she's using that mobility to try and pick up some kills. But CLG.Black, they're doing a really good job of countering it. Part of it is the fact that they were making that lane swap, switching their AD and support down bottom while Malphite was still there. And so IG, they kind of got themselves caught out of position as a result. But I don't know, it should be interesting to see how this progresses now. Yeah,
and the mobilization, though, and that was a big part of what happened game number 1. You saw everyone starting to group up in mid relatively early, and that's really what CLG.Black did to really counter out that aggression. So, well, they can't really poke us out in lane on our own if we're all in mid pushing together. You can't really snipe anyone out in a big clump like that. And you see now that everyone's starting to roam around. Zeta actually getting caught there in the tri-brush. Cruiser looking for the slope, forcing the ult out of Ari. That's good enough for him. Going to be down for a little while there and allow the push to continue up top lane.
Yeah, Ari forced to use the ultimate. That's kind of a disadvantage now. I mean, Ari was pretty safe. Malphite didn't have the ultimate. You know, it was the right call to use it, but now they're kind of weak right now. Even with the gold advantage that they have, they're not going to be able to win the next fight. And CLG.Black, they're actually at the point in the game where their team is like at the ideal situation. They have the AoE combos. They're all very strong. The mid game is basically theirs. So it's going to be interesting to see how IG is going to respond. Even though the IG's ahead, they have to be concerned about the Malphite, followed up by the Orianna, all these combos that they can do.
As mentioned before, though, like the lead that IG would have had in game number 1 never really got past this point, and right now it's still about a K.5. It's nothing too huge.
Yeah.
But also keep in mind that look at CLG.Black though. Like I mentioned before, you usually see a lot of Oriannas go for that early chalice, but you're getting the Rod of Ages, you're looking to tank up on this Orianna, and not to mention, the Malphite can get pretty tanky, Alistar can get pretty tanky. Same thing with Maokai if he chooses to do so. So there is still that Protect the Corki comp they were talking about. There is also still that Protect the Graves strategy that you're looking for. So we'll see how these ADs actually play on later on.
Oh, but IG, they're in a dangerous spot here. They have to back off for a second. They do have the Shen ult to their advantage, but they have to worry about Maokai closing in on them and Ahri able to poke in. And like you said, not going with the Chalice, it's a little unusual, but
Cruiser,
it does protect
where's
them.
the ultimate up top lane? Will he use it? No, he decided to not use it to interrupt the Shen ult. Decided to just let IG take this dragon for free.
Yeah, so they continue with their gold advantage, but having that Rod of Ages in particular, it helps protect against Ahri, because Ahri has so much single target burst. Orianna knows, he just can't allow Ztai to get ahead. And actually, Ahri forced to use the ultimate once again, scared of Bloodwater, uses the ultimate, and that's even with the gold advantages, they're kind of vulnerable now. And this actually should allow CLG.Black to push in and take this mid turret.
You know what? It's now like becoming a game of fear. Like CLG.Black went into this game a little bit afraid of IG, and now IG is like, well, we weren't expecting to lose that game, and now we're kind of afraid. It's like strange.
And part of it has to be the ping disadvantage. Ztai, he can't make quite the split-second reaction times. He knows if Alistar goes in for a combo, then maybe he can't react as quickly as he would like to normally, and so he burns it a little quickly. He uses it a little bit faster than he normally would.
Oh.
There's the Malphite ultimate. He can't dodge that without an ultimate, and Orianna with the follow-up. So they pick up that kill very quickly. This is actually probably going to result in a turret. Though Cruiser, he's actually taking the turret. No, the Ignite. Bloodwater was actually tanking it. Kid trying to pick up that kill, and they barely back out of there. That was really dangerous for CLG.Black.
That was the fear you were mentioning. That was exactly it. That Alistar headbutt combo. That's it. It means death when you have it paired up with the Orianna, and you saw Ahri just completely melt in that last fight. But you talk about ping disadvantage too. Well, hey, they knew what they were signing up for, and this is what happens. This is what you have to play around.
Yeah, no, that is the concern. It is, still a very even game. Again, we're talking like CLG.Black is ahead right now. IG has a 1K gold advantage.
Yeah.
In particular, Graves is doing a pretty good job, but Corki's 3-1. That's the concern. The gold is on Corki. Corki's very strong, and that frontline damage is really going to be abusive against them. But they have a nice early tanking team. The Shen and Shyvana do combo particularly well, so that should keep them pretty safe. And we'll see how they're going to deal with this, but Maokai and Malphite in the front lane, they're going to be able to tank fairly easily, and as long as Corki's safe in the back, they're going to have the damage that they need.
Yep. Psycho Sid also once again going for that Oracles. It saw how well it worked out for him game number 1, but unfortunately there's not a whole lot of ward coverage here on IG as it was for the last game. So for the most part, well, actually both teams are really operating in the dark here. There's only like one set of wards out over by IG's red buff, and it's pretty much all the coverage. But Illusion does have an Oracles too. We're going to clear out everything. There's one ward in the pit of Baron. You got Cruiser getting some coverage there also. But right now, everyone's gathering up once again in the mid lane. You got this trifecta. There's really pain on both ends. And yeah, this is kind of the big definition of the game. You got Shyvana, you got Shen together, but you also got Corki with those two bodyguards of his, the Alistar and the Maokai.
Yeah, Shen already starts backing up because he saw Malphite kind of, teasing towards him a little bit. He's like, all right, what's going on here? Let me back up. I don't
who
want
do
to
you
get
want me to
surrounded.
hit? Tell me who to hit.
They don't have the best ward coverage, so they have to make sure they're being pretty safe. Both teams with the Oracles have done a great job of clearing them out. Not quite the CLG versus World Elite Ward Fest that we had seen, but still a number being taken down, and it's going to be interesting to see how both of these teams can respond. But a lot of it's going to come down to the AD carries, and that's always the case. And Ahri, Ari's survivability could help take some of that pressure off of Graves. If Ari's constantly dashing around and CLG.Black is like, oh, catch the Ari, catch the Foxtail, and they just, can't quite grab her.
And even though this may not be that same ward fest, you're not saying that you can't be cheering home in your room whenever they clear a ward. And granted, you're going to look awkward as hell doing it, seeing as you're not with 5,000 other friends to do it with you. But we'll know. It counts. It counts.
And now Shen pushing down the bottom lane. He's using that split pushing advantage. We'll see whether or not CLG.Black feels comfortable enough to, go for a Baron or anything. They don't have enough damage. So they're kind of finding themselves in a situation where they don't have an objective to pressure. So they might actually just push down the mid lane. And that wouldn't be that surprising. If they're under the mid turret and everyone's kind of clumped up for IG, CLG.Black might be able to get a really nice combo with their ultimates to just pick up some quick kills. But as it stands, you're seeing some hesitation. They're not quite sure what to press. They are slightly down in gold, but this is actually the really good time in the game for them to be very aggressive and take objectives to try and bully around IG.
Yep, and IG, recognizing that they are being bullied, Sona does put the ward coverage down, but Graves is actually looking to take out the top tier 1 all by his own. That thing is actually still, was still in mint condition, but he's going to be making quick work out of that, and CLG.Black knows that there's also always the Shen to be dealing with in the split push, and yet they don't know where to put their aggression.
They're too late.
They're too late. They're afraid.
They're not going to get out of here in time. IG, Zuna coming in, drops the ward. If they can turn it around, Zuna Valkyrieing out of there, and they're just too late to counter this off. So Sona's going to go down. The ult misses, but Sona will almost surely drop. Graves actually barely able to get out. How have they escaped? They have escaped because Ari has come in off the side, and Sona is barely surviving. They're turning back with the Shen. If Shen gets the taunt, no, Malphite canceled the Shen ultimate. That barely saved Zuna there, but now Malphite has to deal with Shen. Shen actually backs off of him. But that was close. IG almost turned that around on them, and it looked like certain death. It looked like CLG.Black just had them, completely.
It did. But you did see the top tier 1 though is still alive. They did manage to save it, and now I imagine they feel a little bit more comfortable to try and push objectives. And like you said before, the objectives right now at this point not very clear for them. But blue buff is a good way to start. They do have a ward right up in front. They do recognize that Kid is up there trying to grab it, trying to give it to the Ari. But Z-Tai, though, is not too far away. Psycho said going off into the brush here is the Orianna Orb getting slowed down onto Illusion. They're dragging out the blue buff as far as they can, but I think CLG.Black, they're still looking to force something out here.
Yeah, and Shyvana being very gutsy, running right into the bush just to get that vision. Man. There's the Foxfire, Z-Tai jumping in, the Shyvana ultimate as well. They're in a great situation here, but Illusion is dropping very quickly along with that Orianna ultimate. There is no Shen ult to help them out, but Malphite is down bottom, so they have that to their advantage if they can turn this around.
There's the cleanse coming in from Zuna to try and prevent some of that damage, but Bloodwater, though, is now in full retreat. And you have 4 members of IG still looking for blood. Cruiser does not have the ultimate. He used it earlier to interrupt that Shen ult. So CLG.Black, the best option here is just retreat for now, but unfortunately, you're going to be giving up a dragon on this one. Granted, it was a 1-for-1 kill, but this will now swing it back to IG's favor.
And both teams taking down the Oracles, so kind of an even exchange there, but that's kind of interesting. So we'll be able to see some more aggressive warding. The dragon does go down, so that again is to IG's favor, but that's kind of interesting. Neither team rebuying it as well, so pink ward for Shyvana, but Psycho Sid not grabbing that Oracle, so a little bit more potential for map control.
Yeah, with the dragon though, I mean IG could theoretically grab it up on anybody. I mean they could just give it to Sona, but that's what the extra income provides. You got the orb doing a little bit of harass damage down onto Shen as he walks away, and now safely IG will be able to grab their own blue. There it goes. Z-Tai getting that one. You got Malphite and Corki grabbing up his own red for the time being. But here come the wards once again. You got Pink Ward up in front. IG, they want to clear all that vision. There are pings going down. IG may be going for this Baron here. It's a consideration. You do have Shen. He is down to bot lane. The ultimate is not quite back up yet, though. But they can kill enough time, though, and by the time everyone's gathered up in front of Baron, it will be up.
It is kind of surprising, though. IG, they're just slowly taking advantages here. They still have to deal with the fact that Corki's pretty farmed, but the gold advantage between Corki, Graves actually has a slight advantage, even though Corki's 4-1 and 2, because of those dragons that they've been able to take. Because of the turrets, it's even, but really the dragons. And IG is just slowly farming. Graves has a 60 CS advantage over Corki. So even though it seems that CLG.Black is a little bit stronger than IG right now in team fights because of their AoE control, IG has done a nice job, well, at least up until that point, of keeping themselves alive.
Never mind, but Sona, will you be able to live here? No! Once again,
if he
Sona
had
dies.
hit the ultimate, he actually probably would have.
Yep. That's the thing about League of Legends is that, you know, the game can change mid-stance. It's like, the game was pretty good up until then, but that's an Oracle's that didn't get really a whole lot of use. I mean,
no,
it's
it's a rough Oracle's to lose.
Ideally with an Oracle's, if you can clear out like 5 wards, like you're fine, you're good, you're even. But Sona just bought that thing.
And it was the ward up here that gave Sona a false sense of security. So Sona, they already had the vision up in the jungle. They weren't expecting, you know, an invade, or they weren't expecting a kill to come from the mid lane, but they were pushed back. So because the minions were pushed back to that second turret, Sona actually didn't have vision up the mid lane, and walking right into that ward, they were able to collapse very quickly and take Sona down.
And this happened game 1 too. I mean, Sona went in for that ward on the blue buff, and surprise, everyone's here. You're dead. Thankfully, at that time, I don't think Sona actually had an Oracle's, but this time, and she rebought another one. What happened? What do you do when you crash your dad's Ferrari? You buy another one, and hopefully you don't crash this one. Hopefully you won't crash the third one.
And you reset the odometer so that they don't know it was you. But
they just set it up on the blocks and put it backwards.
Right. But Sona doesn't really need that much gold though. So they want that map control. They know as long as they don't allow, they need to not allow strong initiation from CLG.Black. Because if CLG.Black is able to get, IG in the right situation and just AoE ult them, CLG.Black is going to win the fights.
Yeah.
If they can't, then IG is actually in a pretty good situation to win the fights. So having map control is 100% important there, because you deny those engages from CLG.Black. CLG.Black doesn't have the vision that they need in order to force the good fights. They have to split up a little bit more. They're not able to quite combo like they would like to. And now we're starting to see that Shen's push. They can be really passive here because Shen should win this 1v1 matchup. Even if it's slowly, he should be able to win that. And Malphite, he has to keep an eye on Shen because he can't allow that teleport in. The Shen's ult is down for another 20 seconds, but once it's up, that's when IG will make their move.
But Cruiser does also still have the ultimate. He can cancel the ult here pretty conveniently, but you see they're like fighting. They're like fighting on their way back.
And Shen's taking advantage of that fight.
Yes, he is.
He's better in those 1v1 situations. He's able to bully him down. And the Zeal as well, it gives him a little bit of movement speed. They're moving in on him, though. They're moving in, and he goes into their base. And now IG, they're going for the Baron. And Shen, he's safe. He backs off.
He's just looking to clear time, and he's just looking to clear out the wave, get a little bit of free damage. And there is Illusion hopping right over the wall. 2 members of CLG.Black caught in that bush. There's nothing they could have possibly have done. That positioning just did not work out for him.
It's the map control, getting the ward advantage, not allowing CLG.Black those wards. The Oracles allows them to do that. Shen actually going in with the ult, and he's off to the side. Malphite doesn't, have vision of him, and even if he did, it wouldn't really matter. But they're able to take the Baron as a result. And IG, really nice play, just throwing the charm over the wall. They hear it hit. So that's kind of the interesting thing with the game, is you have this audio visual cues a lot of times. They hear the charm hit, they go in for it, and they pick up the kills very quickly. And now they have a commanding lead over this game. It's been a slow game for them for the most part. They just kind of want to pull themselves into position. They don't want to be too aggressive against CLG.Black's AoE team. But now they were able to bide their time, and they're able to pull themselves into a winning situation.
And with all of that bought time, granted, with all the bought time, you'd think, where did all that time go into? Kills are even, towers are even, but it's all the objectives. It was those dragons that really threw them into the stratosphere here. That is a 6K difference, 7K difference between these two teams, and a lot of it is just that one objective.
Yeah. And right now, CLG.Black, they still have a very strong team comp in fights. So they're still in this. There's no question about it. But particularly since Orianna was able to finish that Rabadon's, that's a huge milestone for Orianna now. Her damage is going to jump pretty drastically. And that could allow them to have the damage they need to take people down. The only concern is how beefy Shen is. And Shen knows he can go for the Triforce. He can get damage because, 1, they're not going to want to focus down Shen, and 2, even if they do, it's going to be pretty tough on them. Orianna doesn't have enough damage to take down Shen. Orianna's a poke champion, and poke champions don't do well versus those kind of tank bruisers. Corki, he maybe has enough damage, but if you can protect him long enough to take down Shen, and having that frontline tank is going to be really dangerous for them.
Yep. And even if somehow you manage to take out that Shen, look at Graves and look at what he's buying. He knows they're ahead, and he's getting that Guardian Angel, which is just going to make things even more difficult for CLG.Black to try and take down. There's still plenty of time on that Baron buff. Also, he's still got a solid 2 minutes on that thing. Bloodwater could get caught out here in this bush, but he's just going to see everyone throw on in, throwing themselves up into the top lane. Shen leading the charge, and IG is just now dominating CLG's jungle.
Yeah, and they're able to bully them around. I'm curious if they're going to try for a top push. The concern with going for the top push is that it would allow the mid push in response from CLG.Black. So I'm assuming they're just going to split push Shen a little bit. It does slow them down some. It would be nicer if Shen was with them, but they can be aggressive around the other sides of the map. They're going in for it. Illusion, you know, Kid jumping over the wall, just going straight for that blue. He picks it up.
Dash over the wall. You might as well grab it while you can, and especially to have that off of Ori, because the reason why a lot of Orianas go for that Athenes is now
Sona.
Oh, man.
Walking away last second.
But no.
You're talking about the Athenes.
The Athenes. You do get, now you have that mana regen. You've got the cooldown reduction, which is
huge.
a very critical part of it. And that's why a lot of Orianas, they, granted you have a lot of power, but that cooldown reduction to keep that orb moving is also a huge source of a lot of that damage. And to deny Orianna a blue buff really at any point in the game is a win.
Oh, Ari diving in on Zuna, though, really quickly bursts him down.
Oh, the cleanse!
Oh, wow.
Saving
the ignite.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. That is extremely close. And the cleanses, though, are still working out pretty well, even at this point in the game. But Link, though, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to say that he is as lucky. He got the Graves ult coming on in just to stack on a little bit more damage, but pushes CLG back just long enough to finish the deed on the bot tier 2 and the mid tier 2.
Yeah, so they lose 2 turrets, but no one went down, and that was actually a really dangerous situation for them. They were able to survive that, so I don't know that you can say that that was a poor play by CLG.Black. They're able to live for a little bit longer. Zitai actually getting some poke over the wall, just wants to check for a second, but Zuna and Psycho Sid are in pursuit. Cruiser, he's trying to get that flash for the ultimate. It doesn't matter. Zuna has him, and then Malphite turning onto Kid, the Shen ultimate as well, but he's going to go down. They're completely out of position, and CLG.Black is taking advantage of this. But Shen is so beefy. He takes down Corki. They're actually going to turn this around with just Shen, Shyvana, and Sona.
And we said it before in Champ Selected that Shen goes down. If the Corki goes down, you're going to be in a lot of trouble, but Link is the damage there. Shen is pretty damn tanky, but dipping in and out. Can you still take down the Ninja? Yes, Link manages to stay alive. The double kill. The credit going down to the Malphite. There is the Shard, keeping the slow onto Sona. Your Oracles is going to be going down for a third.
The kill.
What? That's going to kill. Onto Alistar somehow. But if Sona manages to get another kill off this, I'm going to be very impressed, but that will not be the case. There is the ace coming in for CLG.
Yeah, they caught them out of position. That was absolutely huge.
Yes.
Ari, the ult was down on Ari from mid trying to kill Corki, and rather than playing passively, they still wanted to be aggressive. And CLG.Black, they took advantage of that. And then not only did Ari get caught out of position, but Kid was trying to save Ari's butt and came over. It was a little bit too aggressive against the Malphite. Malphite had the ultimate still and was able to take him down. So really quickly, picking up the 2 main damage dealers, CLG.Black was able to win that fight. But you saw how insanely tanky Shyvana and Shen are if Corki's down. So that's a serious concern for CLG.Black. Yes, they won that fight, but if they can't kill Graves and Ari early on, then what are they going to do against Shen and Shyvana when they're tanking that long and have Graves and Ari in the back line, dealing damage?
And the unfortunate part about that, too, is that's probably not going to happen again, because now Graves did finish up the Guardian Angel. He does have that extra life, and I would hope that Zuna is considering about doing the same on him. I hope that
I don't know that Zuna has that option, though, because Zuna needs damage right now.
Yeah.
And that's, it would be nice if he could get that GA, but he needs damage. And
but
hey, you were saying they might not be able to do that again?
Oh, well, there you go. Graves getting caught. I spoke a little bit too soon. Wow. That's it, Guardian Angel. It's 5 minutes. 5 minutes he's going to be down without that extra life. And this CLG, this is their opportunity.
Turnaround.
Wow. 2 fights. 2 fights is all it takes, man.
They I think they're going to get an inhibitor off of this. The concern is how much is IG going to be able to take, but they are plenty tanky to get an inhibitor off of this. And that was a 10K gold that IG has thrown because CLG.Black is being very aggressive and pursuing them as a team. There's this the base turret. Graves is still not there. They have Shen, but the question is, can Corki deal enough damage here?
Shyvana out on the back line knows how important that Corki is, but ultimate's backwards. There's a Sona ult coming on in, keeping everyone dancing, but Corki is still somewhat healthy. He's only about a half-life. You got so much tank coming in. The Shen ult is not going to be enough. You got a double kill down onto Orianna, and that is it. Shen going down. Sona going to be the last one. That is another ace. The throws.
I think CLG.Black can end this here. They're going to get the inhibitor. The question is if they can end the game because Graves is coming up. They have to deal with the fact that Graves can just AoE them very quickly. But with the armor they have and with the shield from Orianna, I think they just threw the game. There's the Malphite ultimate, the combo with Alistar. This is a throw. CLG.Black picks up the win. They played perfectly to come back. They stayed together as a team, and IG was just surprised. They were like, what's going on? We're ahead right now. This isn't supposed to be happening. But CLG.Black, they take the win.
That is picture perfect definition of a throw. IG had that game sealed. They had that game sealed. Got caught in the enemy jungle once. That's fine. We can still do it. You had the GA bought up on Graves, and he gets caught. He wastes all of that money. Textbook throw. Textbook throw.
At the end there, they tried to force a fight under the turret when they needed to recognize the inhibitor was dead. Like 4v5, they can't defend that inhibitor against that tanky AoE team. And instead, they tried to defend it. They were like, what's going on? We can't lose this inhibitor. They tried to defend it, and CLG.Black was able to just combo them. Yeah. So they fought a 4v5, and as a result, they lost.
And by the way, right there at the very end, very impressive wombo combo. That was just that was everything. It's like, well, there's only one guy. If we kill him, that's the win. We might as well use everything on him. Slam, advance,
wow,
slam,
congratulations
pop,
to CLG.Black.
Huge congratulations. They will be going to the semifinals, facing up next against Dignitas. Just, world champ level team after world champ level team. And you also, on the other end of the bracket, you also got CLG Prime versus Mono.Ferus. Only one of these teams is getting the last IPL5 qualifier spot. Absolutely unreal.
And it's wild. I mean, IG, they were very strong the playoffs this weekend. You talk about NA versus the world. Yes, IG has the ping disadvantage. That's a serious issue. But I don't know. I hope they weren't having any issues at the end there. That might be a concern. But CLG.Black, they're able to pick up the win. So congratulations to them. And talking about IPL5, quick rundown. I'm sure you guys have heard. If you haven't, then I don't know what you're doing.
Inform the people. Inform them.
Everyone should have heard. D-Man and Joe Miller are going to be at IPL5.
Yes.
That's the big news. It's really exciting. We're glad to have them. And I don't know. We'll see what who the last team is going to be from the NA qualifier. However, we have seen a number of teams in the past. We had Taipei Assassins there, CLG EU, Moscow 5, TSM, all these incredible teams, as well as a couple up and comers.
Yep.
A number of spots still left.
And not to mention tons of other great teams
with musical guests.
With musical guests.
Just kidding.
SGS.
It sounds like that's what we're describing right now as music awards.
Curse.NA and EU. And alternate Pharrell War is going to be coming by to Vegas. It's going to be an amazing time. IGN.com/IPL5. If you haven't gotten your tickets already, if you haven't booked your flights, please do so now. Very important. It's going to be a very good time. We're pretty much done for the day. We will be concluding this qualifier on Friday, but we got 2 semifinal matches to get through first. Hope you'll join us for the rest of the week for those. And hey, thanks for joining us. We will see you next time.
When you wish, they flash just a little bit further. When you scream, they jump just a little bit higher. When you hold